Hello and welcome. My name is Mystic Saira. You're listening to the Modern Mystic Radio Show on A1R Psychic Radio, the world's #1 psychic radio network. And of course, you're watching Moonstruck TV as well. Today, before I go on to my two callers for today, I want to talk about a very delicate subject. I want to talk about narcissism and narcissistic relationships, because this is an area that seems to be becoming more and more commonplace within the modern day relationships. And it's an area that I have covered in quite some depth within my readings, and it seems to be becoming more and more frequent in terms of my readings and what people are going through, what you're going through at home. So let's talk a little bit about what a narcissist is. Okay, so a narcissist is an expert manipulator and also a master of disguise. Now, being in a relationship with somebody like that, it's easy to fall into the traps, and we will talk about some of those traps in a moment. But let's go through and see what the traits are of a narcissist. Maybe it's something you can relate to. Maybe it's something that, in fact, somebody that's close to your best friend is going through, or perhaps, your daughter or your son, because, it doesn't have to be just about a man being a narcissist. It can be a woman being a narcissist. So what is a narcissist? So they have an air of self-importance. It is all about them. They have a lack of empathy, which even when you are pleading with them, when you're full of tears, they seem to not care. They fantasize about power. They have a sense of entitlement as well. And like I said, they are master manipulators and they exploit people as well. So let's have a look at the stages of a narcissistic relationship. So the first stage is where you get hooked, and this is called the love bomb stage. So here it is where you are showered with attention, showered with affection, placed on that pedestal, and you don't want to come down. They will have you convinced that they are your soulmate, and this relationship is absolutely meant to be. Generally speaking, these relationships move forward very, very quickly. And, what I would say to some people is, if it appears to be too good to be true, then maybe there's some truth within that. And not to rush into anything too quickly. Like I said, it can be a very, very fast-moving relationship. Second stage is where you are in the relationship, you've fallen hook, line and sinker, and this person now means the absolute world to you. So what happens next? Where does it all go wrong? So this middle stage is called the devaluing stage. So this is where the manipulation starts to take root. This is where you find that they start to undermine your confidence, and devalue you, putting you down in very, very subtle ways. Sometimes you're not even realizing that this is the web that's being weaved around you. And finally, the hardest stage of this relationship is where you no longer are serving the narcissist, where they no longer get that fix from you. When I'm talking about that fix, it's a fix of adoration that first emerges within that relationship. They're not interested in making the relationship work. What they're interested in is getting their fix. So the final stage is the discard stage. So this is where, unfortunately, you feel like you've been dropped like a hot brick. You get the silent treatment. You are deafed out. And this can be incredibly painful for anyone that's within that relationship. Why have they cut me off so severely? What have I done? And you're still in that thinking mode of blaming yourself. So you will automatically assume that it's somehow your fault. And what's worse about this is that they're quite happy for you to think that. They're quite happy for you to take the blame, because then they walk away faultless. So let's just talk about how to get through that final stage. So if this is something that you can relate to, that you've been through yourself and you're still suffering, because when you are discarded like that, you know, there's no sense of justice. So this is a long road to recovery for the victim of narcissism. And what I've noticed with the people that I've been working with, so my clients and also myself, because I've been through a narcissistic relationship too in my previous relationships, is there's a huge amount of putting the puzzle pieces together. So there's a sense of realization that comes in. So all the time you're in your narcissistic relationship, you won't realize that you're in it. You won't realize that you've fallen so deeply for this cunning plan. And it's not until you've escaped it and you can look at it with fresh eyes, which takes time. It's not something that happens just, you know, in a week. You know, this takes months where you start to realize how much you've been played by this person. And also there's the element of shock around it. You know, you can't believe that you've been treated in this way. Then you can't believe that you didn't pick up on it. And then you can't believe that you stayed in that situation for so long. I mean, fundamentally, this is about piecing you back together, because within that relationship, what has happened is that of you have been taken away without you realizing it. And what I also find difficult here when we're looking at people that have been suffering from these types of relationships is they cannot understand how it is the case that that person can just cut them off like they do. You know, and it's something that they struggle with really to quite a high degree. And the real that you have become somebody that is disposable, despite the fact that you were on that pedestal at one point, can that they didn't love you even from the beginning can be hard to bear. And the reason for that is, unfortunately, they are not capable of love. And what I tend to find is people that are trapped in this situation or are recovering from that situation, you know, they have a couple of things in common. And number one, this is what I try to sort of instill with people, is that there is love and there is life after the narcissistic relationship. So the victim of that relationship will believe, hand on heart, that they cannot possibly feel the same way about anyone else. They had met the one. So how can they replace that? And the thing is, they will, but it will take a little bit of time. It doesn't matter whether the narcissist has moved on, because there's normally quite a heavy sort of preoccupation. What are they doing? What are they thinking? How can they be in another relationship when, you know, we had what we had? But the truth being is that they can do that because they simply are able to switch off, because they weren't fully in the relationship like you were. And fundamentally as well, what I have to say is, it's a big question that I'm asked: can narcissist change? And what can you do about it? Is it worth fighting for at the end of the day? Now, I strongly believe that anyone has the ability to change, providing that they actually want to. And my feeling is that if you are in a narcissistic relationship, that it is more likely than not that they won't change. And your one option is not to try and get that relationship back, but is to walk away at the first point of it looking as though it's going into a narcissistic situation. Easier said than done. You know, if it's the case that you've been cut off and they've severed the relationship, then you have to realize that you will repair, you will heal, and you will find love again. And it will be a better, stronger, happier relationship than you ever had with the narcissist. Okay, let's go on to my first caller. And we have Nikki, who's in Durham, North Carolina. Hi, Nikki, can you hear me?
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Okay.
Okay, do you have a question for me tonight?
Yes, I was wondering what month will I get my disability for my daughter?
Okay, so is that a benefit, is it, that you're asking about?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Right, so let's just see what we have around this. Okay. Right. Right, so let's have a look and see what we get for this. So, I mean, my feeling here is that you will get it. I am being shown here that there is a successful outcome with this. I'm being drawn towards the month of June. Okay, I feel that there's going to be communication surrounding this coming in over the course of this month. So I don't feel that there's going to be a particularly long wait. You know, my feeling here is that you've done your homework on this. I feel that the paperwork that you've put forward it feels good. You know, it feels like you've done a good job there. And I feel that you're going to be, there's something here about this whole process being a real struggle. Does that make sense? I feel that it's really
yes, it's been a real struggle with this.
Yeah, I feel like you've had to fight for so much when it comes to your daughter. Is that right?
Yes, I
am. See, what I'm being shown, and I feel like that you're on the last sort of throes of this, and in many respects, I feel like it's been like a thorn in your side, because you've had to put so much energy and concentration into this process that it's kind of taken your attention away from what your daughter needs at the moment as well. So I'm being shown that I have got it being resolved. I'm also being shown here like this is. There feels like this whole situation has been really negative for you, or we're dealing with like a series of events that have led to her disability. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So I feel here that once we get to that stage of June, where I feel like this is when you are receiving the benefits, or it's all organised for you, then you can actually crack on and be focused, far more focused on your daughter's needs. And it's as though you need this.
I've been taking her back and forth to the doctors and everything. So it's been a real struggle with her.
Yeah. But my feeling here is that part to a close, so you are going to be able to forward think and forward plan with your daughter, but it's almost as though like some of the evidence that you've been acquiring for this process you need for her care going forwards. Does that make sense to you? So I feel like once we get to June, July time, you are then thinking, right, okay, now I can get this for my daughter. Does that make sense? I get a feeling of a bit of a breakthrough with this. But it's like you need that confirmation or that entitlement before you're able to do it.
Okay.
Okay, does that make sense to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything else you'd like to ask me?
No, that's it about right now.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you very much. I hope you found that useful.
Yes, thank you so much, I did.
Oh, thank you. So like I said, June time is the time for you.
Okay, thank
Wonderful.
you.
So Thank you so much, and thank you for coming through tonight, and God bless yourself and your daughter. Okay, I'm going to continue talking with and about narcissistic relationships while we wait for our next caller to come through. So as I was trying to explain to you, this is an area that I'm finding is a real struggle, and the difficulty that I find with this kind of relationship is it kind of ties into the whole soulmate scenario, because they do such an impressive job of convincing you that they are your soulmate, because this is what it will feel like. It becomes really confusing. Now, if we were going to kind of narrow it down and think, right, okay, what kind of relationship is it? Why is it so powerful? Why is it so hard to get over? Well, I would say that to a certain degree, there is some kind of soul connection attributed to a narcissistic relationship. Now, always remember, if you end up in this kind of situation, that any challenges that you are given, on a soul level or by the universe, however you want to kind of phrase this, there will be a soul element attached to it. So generally speaking, they're not a soulmate, they're certainly not a twin flame. They're more likely to be a karmic relationship. And another thing to bear in mind as well is that the challenges that you're given are given to you because you can cope with them. Okay, and this applies to everything. So whatever your situation is, on a soul level, you're given that to help you to grow, and because you are destined in a roundabout way to overcome it. So never feel that you are trapped in any situation. You're just given an obstacle to overcome, and you will overcome it. Okay. Right, so I'm going to wait for my next caller to come through. And while I do that, let me just sort of have a think about this whole soulmate element and the narcissistic relationship, because I would say if you are in that situation, and like I said, I have been in that situation, it can be really difficult to determine which is which. And 9 times out of 10, what I find is that people don't realise that they're in a narcissistic relationship until they've either left or they're about to leave. So if this is you and you want guidance in terms of the next stage, how to leave the relationship, what if you how to strengthen yourself once you have a relationship, or if you did, through their hands. This is an area that I have been specializing in, so please do contact if that resonates with you. Okay, so I'm going to go on to my next call, and we have Jessie from Adelaide, South Australia. Hi, Jessie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. How are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you.
Wonderful. So thank you very much. Do you have a question for me tonight?
Yes, I was just wanting some kind of love reading or something of those lines.
Okay. So you'd like me to look at love for you. So let's just see what I've got for you coming up. Okay, so I'm just shuffling the cards, just going to deal them out. Right, okay. Now, I'd get quite a powerful relationship coming into your life. What I'm not entirely sure about is whether they've already entered your life yet. because the timelines that I'm getting are literally within sort of the next sort of 1 to 2 months. So have you met somebody already?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Not that you're aware of. Well, all I can say here is that you're pretty much on the turning point of what looks like a really, really big relationship. This one is almost like I need to set it totally apart from anything that you've ever had before. Okay, I'm being shown here a twin flame relationship. So this is probably the deepest kind of connection that you're ever likely to come across. Okay, so it's like a soulmate relationship, but it is your perfect, your other half, if that makes sense, the other half of your soul coming through for you. It does feel as though your journey, relationship-wise, has been quite a tough one up until now, okay? And I feel that for you, you know, it's because I feel like you're, you know, fundamentally you're really positive as a person, but there is this like nagging sort of doubt because I feel like you have been really unlucky in the past when it comes to relationships. And what I'm being shown here is that, you know, almost like the sort of similar to what we were originally talking about sort of today, is these relationships that are not balanced, that are far more about sort of power and control rather than being, you know, love-based and nurturing, which is what I've actually got coming in for you. Like I said, the next 2 months, I get May and June coming through really strongly for you in terms of this connection. Now, I want to go into it a little bit more sort of in depth because I get a lot of communication around this person, and I also feel that there might be a small geographical distance between the two of you. So my feeling when I'm looking at this is that this is not somebody that you're going to meet whilst out socializing or meet sort of that you bump into. Your paths are not going to cross that way. They're coming through in a slightly different way. And like I said, I get this element of communication, which does kind of lead me to the feeling of either something online or there's some other way that you're connecting that involves getting to know each other, not necessarily sort of face-to-face initially, okay, but you will do. There is going to be, you will know when this person comes into your life because it just feels as though everything is firing up for you. I feel like I've got you very, very excited about this relationship. And by the time we get to the month of July, I feel that you'll know for certain, okay? Does that make sense? That this is somebody that you've got a future with and that you want to be with. It does feel, I'm just trying to get some characteristics here for you, because it does feel as though there is quite a strong spiritual connection between the two of you. I'm also being shown here a past life connection between the two of you as well. We have a really old soul. So I feel when I say old soul, they have a lot of wisdom, and that sense of maturity is going to shine through. So there's something here about your relationships being with people that have a little bit of an immature and selfish outlook in the past. So this person that's coming in doesn't have that, you know. I feel that they know how to treat people with decency and with respect, and fundamentally that's all you've ever really asked for from a relationship. You haven't asked for, you know, the great big whopping diamond ring and the great big house. What you've asked for is just to be treated with love and respect, and this is what you're actually coming into. So it does feel as though the universe has been listening to you, and it does feel as though it's coming in this year for you as well. I want to give you an earth sign person with this. So this will be either a Taurus, a Virgo, or a Capricorn, or somebody that sort of embodies that really practical side. There is a feeling here of, I get the words career development with them, as though that's what they've been focusing upon. And there's something here about work bringing them like closer to you geographically, and that's their reason for, I suppose that's their reason for connecting with you. Okay, so I wouldn't be surprised if they live a distance away, but know that they're planning to move with work to closer to where you are. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Is there anything else you would like to ask me for today?
No, that's all. Thank you. I was just, I've been going through a rough patch at the moment, and with my ex-partner and that, so I just wanted to see, how things were going to pan out. That's all.
Okay, I mean, would you say that he's your soulmate or your twin flame?
Well, not anymore. I used to think so, yes. Yeah, I did think so at one stage, but not anymore.
Well, like I said, I want to say keep your mind very open at this particular stage in your life. I feel that it is somebody new coming in, okay? But, if you feel that you need to keep the door ajar for your ex until that happens, then do that if that makes you feel better. But I just feel like it's somebody new. Okay, so I'm going to have to leave it there. We're nearly at the end of the show. So thank you very much for coming through to us. If you would like a private reading, you know how to contact me through my website, modern-mystic.co.uk, or through Facebook under Mystic Saira and Modern Mystic. I'm going to say goodbye for now. Enjoy the rest of the show. Enjoy the rest of the week. And I shall see you the same time next week. Goodbye for now.